We've all been there. You take a bite of food, look down, and realize your snack is not quite the color it should be. Here's what you need to know if you accidentally ingest mold. There are over 100,000 types of mold, and thankfully, most of them are harmless to healthy individuals with strong immune systems. As Marina Uabova, a doctor of nursing practice and nurse practitioner in New York City, told Shape, when the immune system works well and healthy gut flora is abundant, molds will have no negative impact on the health and wellness of that individual. In other words, most of the time, if you accidentally eat a bit of something moldy, you should just forget about it and move on. As Rudolph Bedford, a gastroenterologist at Providence St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica told Women's Health magazine, "You're not going to die from eating mold. For some people, though, exposure to mold can cause an allergic reaction or respiratory illness. And while most molds are ultimately harmless, a few, under the right conditions, produce poisonous substances called mycotoxins, which can make you really sick."
If you have an allergic reaction, that's IgE or IgG reaction, that's usually to the antigen of the mold. But the mycotoxins are chemicals.
But what about moldy blue cheese? And what if you really don't want to chuck that smoked Gouda because of a moldy corner? Well, here's some good news. Blue-veined cheeses are actually made with Penicillium mold spores and are perfectly safe and healthy to eat. When it comes to the food in our kitchens, the US Department of Agriculture, or USDA, has put out some handy guidelines on how to handle mold. For hard cheeses and firm fruits and vegetables like carrots, cut off at least 1 inch around and below the moldy area, being careful to keep the knife away from the mold so as not to contaminate the rest of the food. For soft fruits and vegetables, foods with a high moisture content and breads, it's safest to just toss the whole thing. The reason for this is because mold has roots that can spread deep into soft foods like yogurt, well below the visibly moldy surface. Not only that, but bacteria can grow there along with the mold. Even though a couple of bites of mold most likely won't make you sick, it's smart to err on the side of caution. However, molds used in the manufacturing of food items are generally safe for healthy adults to consume. Experts at PharmaEasy state that Aspergillus, Penicillium, Fusarium, Mucor, and Rhizopus are the kinds of molds you'll most often find in your kitchen. Meat and poultry can become contaminated by all of these molds and more. In the event that any variety of mold is spotted on high-moisture meats, such as bacon, hot dogs, or leftover chicken, it belongs in the trash. However, there are some exceptions to the moldy meat rule. You can also find species of Penicillium on certain types of hard salami, but that dusting of white on the meat's outer casing is A-OK to eat. On the other hand, while it's not uncommon to spot mold on dry-cured country hams, it should always be removed before eating by thoroughly washing the meat with hot water and applying a little elbow grease using a stiff vegetable brush. Molds you want to steer clear of include the green or black fungi you'd find on a long-forgotten loaf of bread, any green-grey specks that develop on the outside of fruits, or the white fuzzy patches that can overtake berries. All of these food items should be promptly discarded, along with any foods that develop orange, red, or pink mold. The presence of these molds signals that food has gone bad, and although a small nibble isn't guaranteed to make a healthy person sick, there's no way to know whether these molds may harbor mycotoxins. High temperatures, humid environments, and pH levels are just a few of the different factors that can create the perfect storm for mold to give off poisonous mycotoxins. Mycotoxin-producing molds are often found in nut crops, grain, apples, celery, grape juice, and more. A 2018 scientific article published in Toxicological Research outlines how mycotoxin consumption can cause vomiting, diarrhea, and gastrointestinal distress, among other symptoms. Sadly, millions of people die every year from these poisonous substances. While there are different kinds of mycotoxins, aflatoxins pose the greatest risk to human health. Even when eaten in small amounts, these highly poisonous substances produced by certain molds have been linked to cancer, DNA mutation, liver cell damage, and more. Cases of aflatoxicosis, pregnancy loss, developmental issues in children, and malnutrition have been seen in connection with aflatoxin exposure, according to the 2024 edition of the Encyclopedia of Toxicology. These toxins are primarily produced by strains of Aspergillus fungi. Despite the fact that aflatoxins have been the subject of study around the world for decades, they present unique challenges when it comes to preventing the contamination of crops. Additionally, jellies and jams tend to be particularly vulnerable to these harmful molds. If these sandwich spreads become moldy, get rid of them. You don't want to spoon out the contaminated surface and hang on to the product, as there could be more fungi invisibly lurking underneath. Visit the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service website for more information on how to best protect yourself from mold exposure through food.